Hey everyone, thanks for joining in. Let's get some people on here. Hey Jeff, hey Chris. Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for joining me today on another Brooklyn lockdown. I hope everybody's doing all right. Let me know how the sound is. I think it's sounded pretty good when I checked it out, so we'll see how everything goes. Just let me know if there's any issues. And hey Bill, how you doing, man? Hey McErlain. Hey Frank. How's it going, everyone? All right. So today, hey James. Wait until people come. Hey Tracy, what's up? What's going on, Chris? Hey Dr. Brad. Hey Tom. Whoa, Tom, you made it. Hey everyone. S.E. Nesbitt, thanks so much. Earth Machine 1. Excellent. Bill Shilkaitis, frontline doctor at the moment, so thanks so much, man, for that. Appreciate that. All right, so what I want to talk a bit about today is the idea of chord tone soloing, which really means I just want to make sure I hit the right notes at the right time. So I'm going to take it really simply in a simple sense. What I mean by that is, well, a lot of people are joining in, so I'm going to hang up before I start doing a play. But I'm going to talk about a chord progression that really affected me when I was growing up as a kid. All right, hey, refresh the page, Phil. My friend Phil Mingan is going to try to moderate. But if not, please pay attention to Phil's post and all about we're all figuring this out as we go along. So, all right. One of the songs growing up that really influenced me was my sister used to listen to it all the time. Was "Frampton Comes Alive," you know, and "Do You Feel Like We Do" by Peter Frampton. Great tune, of course. And so when I was younger, there's lots of ways I could run through this stuff. And sorry, mic's a little hot. Okay, maybe a little hot. All right. I'll turn that down a hair. Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's always hard to get these things. Okay, cool. So, chord progression. Let me just run through it. That's not the video. Here we go. Why does it do that? All right, hold on. It's live. One-man show. Okay. So you guys know this. It's from one of my courses, right? There's changes. F, C, back up to D. Okay, so we've got D, right, F, C, and then back to D. What I'm going to do right off the top of the bat is just play D minor pentatonic and play some kind of bluesy stuff on it. Okay, so straight on blues, minor pentatonic, and that sounds really cool, right? So the first thing I would do is to put that together. You're saying I've got just a D minor pentatonic scale over the whole thing. And it works beautifully. But if we look at the chord progression, we're going to go a little deeper. And we're going to think about the chords as they go along. And we have something called, we can call it modal interchange, which is just a fancy name for hitting the right note or using two modes and mixing them together. I'm going to break down this chord progression because when I grew up, I was looking at this going, oh man, I'm just going to play D minor blues over this and it'll be cool. And then I realized I was missing a ton of stuff that Frampton and other people do. So it sounds a little more inside the changes. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to play first and then talk in a minute. And now I'm going to make some of the changes. One in particular. All right. So lots of fun shredding and all that kind of stuff. So the first thing I am thinking, fellas, is if I look at the chord progression, the chord progression gives us all the answers. And this is really what I had overlooked. So first of all, once I said like before, shred with the blues, get used to that, get used to the feel, work on that and say, okay, you know, I'm sounding pretty good with the blues licks. And that's a never-ending sort of thing. Okay. So first thing is my chord progression. D major to F major. So we can see, if you know anything about the keys, and this is what we're going to talk about, D major has an sharp A. Okay? And F major chord is spelled F-A-C. So F sharp in the D chord and F in the F chord. So the first thing we want to think about is to target the F. You know? F sharp, excuse me. To the F chord, then I have to play an F natural. If I play an F sharp on the D chord, it sounds terrible. So if I went, you know, I can do it in the bluesy sense where I bend that, right? So I go, or I tweak my third, and we do that all the time in the blues. If you kind of feel like you're a competent blues player and confident blues player, you're always going to tweak that flat third. So if I'm going to play a D minor pentatonic scale, I'm going to go, right? I'm always bending that flat third a little bit because I'm kind of alluding to this. But in this song, I can really hit it and really accentuate that F sharp on the D chord, and it sounds great. Now watch it change. So the chords went D major to F major. So you have the change inside the chord. So there's two ways you can look at this. You're going through sort of a D major sound to a D minor sound. Now, you could look at it as mixing modes, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but I find that's much more difficult than it needs to be. Let's just talk about a scale, right? You know, you're going to put out the notes, you're going to take the notes in the chord, so you have an F sharp, right? Right, so I'm going to put in the F sharp just in my D minor pentatonic scale. So I'm going to take this cool scale, I'm going to call it a dominant pentatonic scale. And what that is, we're just going to take a D minor pentatonic scale, D, F, G, A, D, C, F, D, A. Yeah, that's A. F, G. Let me start that over again. I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the post. Sorry. So I have D, F, G, A, C, D, F. Okay, so what I want to do is just change the F to an F sharp, and I get this great scale. Here's how I'm going to finger it. We call it D dominant pentatonic. So I'm just taking F, D minor pentatonic, and just raising my F to an F sharp. That's a great sound. Jeff Beck uses it all the time, especially in like the 70s, you know, Blow by Blow on Wired. You hear that all the time, you know, on Freeway Jam. That kind of sound, Beck plays that a lot. Okay, so there's my new scale. I know what I do when I go to when the F chord comes, so I have to think about where the chord progressions do, and then I change between the two. So I'm going to just do that. I'm going to play those two scales and cover the whole chord progression. It's going to stay in that same position. Here's dominant pentatonic. Dominant pentatonic, D minor pentatonic, D minor pentatonic, D dominant pentatonic. Right, so watch. I like that. More about that in a second. Watch. All right, so the clams are on me. Oh. So a few bad notes in there, but who cares? Okay, and we're going to talk about why I hit a bad note. I'm glad I did that. All right, so all I'm thinking about, let's talk about that little lick there. Went from D major, then to D minor. All I did was change that F sharp to an F natural when the F chord came around. Now when I'm on my C chord, I can do either one, which is kind of cool. The note that sounded kind of sour, I sat on the F on the C chord, which is a dud note, but listen to F sharp on that C chord. Right, it's a more interesting sound. So let's try the F sharp, so D dominant pentatonic, on the C chord as well, and we'll see what that sounds like. All right. So D dominant pentatonic, right? Minor. Dominant. Pretty sweet. Again. Right then. And back to F sharp. Alright, so. Okay, so I could go on for a while on that. It sounds really cool, right? So all I'm doing is playing the F sharp on the D chord and the C chord, and I'm playing an F natural on the the D chord, no, the F chord, excuse me. So I'm making the chord changes. So what I thought about was just not, I have one scale over the whole thing, which can work. But then I'm thinking, well, if I look a little bit more at the chord progression, I have some more options that I might not have thought about. The main one is you've got this D major chord, write out the notes of the chord, D, F sharp A, and then you have an F major chord, which is F A C, so the two cannot work together at the same time. And the reason why it probably, like I said, once again, how it worked for you in the past, or me in the past, was I would tweak that flat third and it would sound cool. Okay, so let's talk about the next level, and then I'll get into answering all your questions. Oh, by the way, guys, there is, I think Phil's going to pop, and I've got a Dropbox link to this background track, and this particular track right here is from one of my courses. It's my True Fire Making the Changes course, so I'm going to drop that in here just in case, and boom. It should be in the description too. So there's the background track I'm playing too. All right. And yeah, all right, let's talk about what's next. So I'm playing D to F, right? Then I have a C chord coming up. Now the thing about the C chord, I can have some notes in there that I can grab, right? First one is this E. That sounds great because C is spelled C-E-G. So if you look, and that little lick is in that tab right there. So let me play it for you. So playing chord tones, guys. F sharp for the D chord, F for the F chord, E for the C chord, F sharp. You can play a little fast though. Okay. Oh, hold on. People tell me that link doesn't exist. Okay, hold on. I can fix that right now. I probably did something wrong. I thought I had that done. Hold on. Okay. Give me a sec. I can fix that right now. I think. Hold on. It's live. I want to get you guys that track. Ugh. I don't know. Of course that link isn't working. All right, so what I'm going to do right now, in a minute. Okay, when we get off of this, that link will be good. Sorry, guys. It just, I teched it and it seemed to have worked, and it's not working at the moment. So, all right. Yes, so Tracy Farmer, I do have a tip jar for any of you guys who want to help out. Let me just put that up there right now. Thanks so much. Here we go. And that just links you to my PayPal, and you can put in any number that you want, and it is really super, super appreciated. All right, so once again, so what I did there was I just picked the chord tones. My first thing was D major, right? There's my F sharp. Then I went to the F for my F chord, and I used my E on the C chord because C is spelled C-E-N-G, right? Then I went back to the F sharp. So the little lick I did, so I'm thinking about that dominant pentatonic or basing it upon the pentatonic scale. Right, so you had that sound for that C chord. So let's hear it. Is I can really play up that sound. There I just did this bouncing between those notes, the G to the F sharp. for that D chord. So it works really, really well. So now, the next thing, as I start to expand upon all these ideas, is I can think about, well, where do I want to, hold on a second, I was going to close this out, open too much stuff on my screen. All right, so now, what I can do next, and then I'll get to the questions, is I'm going to concentrate on some other notes of the chord. Okay, so you write this out on a piece of paper. D, F sharp, A is my D chord, F, A, C is my F chord, C, E, G is my C chord. So I'm going to just play chord tones. We can see a melody that I played earlier, and I'll show you this one. What do I have here? What's going on there, check this out, is I can find melodic lines that move within the chord progression. And if, like I said, you write it on a piece of paper, or you just look at your chord progression. So I have D major to F major, C major, back to my D, or I can go to this D. So I have these lines that live just right there. So check this out. Right? I can use any of those notes for my D chord. Now I want to go to F, because that's my D chord. The F sharp goes down to F. This D can move down to C, and the A would stay the same between the two of them. Right? Now when I go to my C chord, the C remains the same. The E moves down a half step to the F moves down a half step to E, and this A moves down a whole step to G. And now I can go down to my D here. So if I look at these individual lines, and I'll play them again just so we can see them. Pretty rudimentary, but really useful. Okay. Hold on. So here's my D chord, right? I'm gonna move that down. Here's all the chord, right? I can do it with bends, watch. Got the same stuff before. All right, so I'm thinking about all this stuff as I'm playing. D minor pentatonic, D minor blues is the parent idea. Just can rip over that. And then I'm going to start thinking about the dominant pentatonic, the F sharp on the D chord, and the F natural on the F chord, and the F sharp on the C chord, because it sounds better than the F on the C chord. And then the next thing I'm going to think about is how the chords move. And I'm just looking at the triads. Here's a D major triad, right? Find them. And then when you look right in there, so you have these things start to move together, right? They're a little funky. So, we'll get to questions in just a sec. You can dig a little deeper. Okay, so All right, let me see some of the, if there's any questions right now. Thanks for all you guys for checking in and hanging out. Got a nice group of people here today. Thank you. And if you like all this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be really awesome. And put the old thumbs up, like, and all that kind of stuff would be awesome. So thanks so much. All right. All right. So yeah, start posting some questions. That would be great, and I'd love to answer some. All right. Shanker Angus Clark chiming in. I'm gonna have Angus on here. We're gonna talk about stuff. He's gonna give us a little lesson, then he's gonna talk about what he's been doing in the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and he plays with Cher and all this kind of stuff. So we're gonna have some interviews coming up. All right. All right. No questions just yet. Okay. So let's keep on playing then. All right. So let's talk about a few things that you can find in all of this. Now, if you look at the scale, there you go, D pentatonic, right? And if we start to put these things together, so if we put D minor pentatonic, okay, let's back off on a sec for a modal look at this. We actually do what's sometimes called modal interchange, and I don't think of it that way because it gets to be really kind of more than we need to think about. But the chord progression, the sound I'm hearing, since we have a D major, and the only outline chord we discussed was the F. We changed keys, we didn't have a C, back to D. If I have two major chords a whole step away from each other, that's Mixolydian. So D Mixolydian, if we go back up here, is going to be D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. Now, what was the difference between the two chords? The F major chord and the D major chord was the F sharp. So one way you can look at this is you can play D Mixolydian, and then you're going to switch to D dorian, which is D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So the only difference between the two is an F and an F sharp. So F sharp. You hear the change in there. So let's listen to that. I'm going to play kind of scale-y, which is not the way I'm thinking about it, but it is important to see it as well. So D Mixolydian. D dorian. Mixolydian. Now Mixolydian. Dorian. But that's just crazy talk to try to think that way. So what I'm getting at is all the notes are exactly the same, except you change one when you need to, and that's the F. And don't forget, we can also just be bluesy. So if I'm going to mix this nailing the F sharp, and I'm going to mix sometimes just treating it as D minor blues, so I can tweak that third for the F to the F sharp. A little more kind of like rock, right? So. Okay, so I messed up and I just tried to fake it by keep on bending that note because I meant to do that. All right, so what I did there, man, like I said, it was just I'm thinking D minor blues stuff with the blue note. We'll talk about that too. And then I'm just going to add in the F sharp when I felt like it at the right time. But on some of the points you notice when I was on that D chord, I went. So that kind of bending that F, tweaking it a bit so it flies between the F and the F sharp, and it sounds cool and bluesy. So the next thing, and I'll jump back to questions, is the blue note. Right? So the blue note here is going to be, you can call it an A flat, which I would. So to me, the blue note you can just use anytime. So let's just hear it. I'm going to play blue note because it sounds great. Is it A flat? Right? Tapping into some George Lynch there for you. All right, so I'm going to play up the flat 5, just the blue note, because it sounds cool. So one thing I did there is some of my friends will have fun with, is the George Lynch. So I'm sliding back down to my blue note. Just kind of as fast as you can, and sloppy, who cares? So sounds good with the lick game. That kind of thing. Also, I'm just going to play up that blue note. Sometimes it just sounds cool. Like, I'm going to bend up a little bit just to kind of resolve it. Adds a lot of really cool tension. But in just a blues lick, right? Then I can add an F sharp in there. Right? So I can really start to think about right, so I'm playing the blue note and adding in an F sharp. So on the D chord and the C chord. And then the F chord, once again, I'm just going to sit on that F note. Oop. I'm going to play it open string because it sounds good. Right? And then I was really kind of pounding it down here for fun, you know. Regular track, so. Right? Hit it. That kind of lick, which is kind of hip. A little bit of hammer, a little hybrid picking. But my point is, you can treat it as blues, and you can take advantage of the blue note and add some really nice tension. And then I'm going to mix in that F sharp at times, and then nailing some chord tones too. So when you start to put these all together, your soloing hopefully will go to a different sort of level, because you're thinking about more things than just, I'm going to play a blues lick over the top. Now, it requires some time and lots of practice, which is the really, really, really big. You have to remember that if I'm not practicing this intentionally, or with intent, as I like to put it, you really need to do that. Just run over the chord change and do something really basic. Like I said, I'm going to show you. Hit those notes, right? Right? melody, right? Arena rock. All right, tons of fun. What I'm like to say is I have a lot of this stuff in one of my True 4 courses. This is from it's called Chord Tone Soloing. Actually, it's from Playing the Changes. I did that a little more rock-based. And it's cool. And I got some more rock-based stuff coming out. I have a course. Here's the... Not sound too pitchy, but it's talking a lot of this stuff. With Brett Papa coming up in a few months. Obviously, things got a little bit delayed with the lockdown, but it's really more digging into rock, and I have a new True Fire course coming out where I talk a lot about the same kind of thing, taking popular style rock chord progressions and then breaking them down and finding out what we can do with our pentatonic scale as kind of the basis of all this. And then by changing one or two notes at each time, we can kind of build it up a little higher, right? Okay, so let me look over some questions. Oh, yeah, thanks for putting the question mark ahead of time, Phil, for asking people that. Super awesome. How do you recommend learning the triads across the neck? References them, the triad example like you used earlier. That's for David Skinner. Excellent question. And what I'm thinking there is triad inversions. So, that's a great coming idea for an upcoming Brooklyn lockdown. But the first thing I'm thinking about, let's say we take a D major triad, which is D, F sharp, and A. So let's start with this. Right, there's a D major triad. Well, it's like this, right? C form, bar chord, we'll call it. This is D, F sharp, A, and D. D major is D, F sharp, A, and D. So I'm just going to focus in right now on the D, G, and B strings. And what I'm going to do is play D major. And what I want to do now, that's F sharp, A, and D. I'm going to move each note of this chord, this triad, up to the next note of the chord on the same string. So this F sharp is going to move up to an A. The A is going to move up to the D. The D is going to move up to the F sharp. Right? So I'm just going through the inversions of D major. Now each note, this is A, D, F sharp, still same notes as D major. Those three notes are going to move up to the next note in the triad. So this A moves up to the D moves up to the F sharp moves up to the A. So I have, start over. So you can do that in each string set. It works really great if you just use 3 adjacent strings, and for right now, the D, G, and B is really great. F chord. C. Alright, so if I'm going to play that track, and I'll just play those triads. So I can even use that as a rhythm guitar part, but that's what I'm thinking. That's like the real basis of how I'm soloing over this. Thinking blues licks, rockin', shredding, all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking about those triads when I want to get, change up the sound and get to this next level of interest, right? So it requires some thought, but if you start running through those triads and see where those chords live, it's really helpful. And like I said, you just find how they move. There's D, there's F, there's C, back to D. And I started experimenting really slowly with nailing each one of those changes. And, there's a big difference between practicing and playing, right? So I'm talking about practicing. You're just going to sit there and play them really slowly and look over what you've done and say, okay, and record it and listen back. Does that sound cool? Yeah, I think that sounds cool. Or that was terrible. Or you might come across a happy accident, like the F sharp on the C chord. And it gives it that really kind of cool sound of, It's a Lydian chord progression, Lydian sort of sound. Okay. Now, finally, there's a scale that's not a scale, not scale. How would D diminished lick sound over this? Probably pretty horrible. 'Cause, yeah, I wouldn't do that. What would Robin play over this? I don't know. I don't know. Let's ask him. Oh, he's doing a live feed after this on his YouTube channel at 4 p.m. Central Time. So there you go. All right. So what we come up with is this scale that I like to call mixodorian, because it's neither, or it's mainly Dorian, D Dorian, which is D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And then I can add in F sharp. So I'm mixing D mixed Lydian, D Dorian, it's only one note different, F to F sharp. So I find that the mixture, or thinking about these different ways in your head, is really useful because it makes me play differently. If I think triadically, I'm going to play more chord tone soloing wise. And if I'm playing like blues licks, I'm going to think more about that. And if I think of this like mixodorian thing, I might play some other notes that I wouldn't have played playing pentatonic. And after a while, it all kind of comes out in your playing, and you're not thinking about it. Those, what I was saying previously just before, I practice those things with intent over the chord progression, try to work through this stuff. But what I would really suggest is that you spend time doing it and then just cut loose and see what happens, because a lot of it's just coming down to like, just, digging in there. My stream rate is getting a little weird, so all right. I think everybody everybody in the world is on YouTube right now. So, see what's going on. All right. So, let me see what this says. Yeah, I don't know how to change bit rates in the middle. So let's see what we got. Keep going. Okay. I'm getting a warning. I think there's so much traffic online right now. But okay. So once again, if I'm going to start doing it, I'm going to think all those things together, that mixodorian thing. Mixodorian. Mixed Lydian scale, Dorian scale kind of mixed at the right time. Etc. So, and obviously I've been working at it for quite some time. So it's these ways of putting it together. All right. So let's go back to some questions, and I'm going to keep it at an hour today. So everybody's been so cool. All right. So thanks everybody. How would you recommend? Okay, that was that question about the triads. Somebody's been wood shitting. Thanks. Well, yeah. What else have we got to do, right? What diminished? I don't know. Okay. Why does F sharp? Phil Mingan, Chris was asking. Why does F sharp work over the C? Okay, it's a good question. One, because it sounds good. better than an F on a C chord, which sounds like a sus, but in this particular tune, watch, I'm hearing, let me play it once again. I'm going to play the F on the C chord and an F sharp on the C chord. And that F sharp, F on the F chord, F sharp on the C chord. I like that then. Easy in passing, watch. I think it just sounds better. You could use either one, but I think I prefer the sound of the F sharp. It just kind of bends my ear a little bit. And F sharp is contained in D mixolydian, which is the scale I'm kind of thinking about. We kind of roll between D mixolydian and D dorian. So hopefully that answers that, Chris. Okay. Chris Covington, explain again what mixodorian is. Okay, the difference between a D mixolydian scale and a D dorian scale is one note. It's the third, F and F sharp. So when we're playing a D minor blues scale, we're playing a lot of F naturals, right? So we figured out today that if we add in the F sharp, you just bend that up a half step, and you're kind of outlining the chord change and nailing the D chord. But we know by the blues stuff that I can just play an F natural, and it still sounds cool. And then the rest of the surrounding notes are all the same. So once again, D mixolydian is D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. D dorian is D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So it's the main crux between those two is the F sharp, and that's the difference on those two chords, the D chord and the F chord. So I can kind of treat it as like a D mixolydian scale and sometimes play the F sharp on the D chord and the C chord. So I call it mixodorian. It's kind of a joke. You know what I mean? I can add both of those in. But I've heard other people call it that, mixodorian. It's that scale that if you use it, you can sound cool and bluesy and or outline the chord changes. I hope that answers that question. Sometimes in the blues, this is from Earth Machine 1, sometimes in the blues like Crossroads, major and minor scales are used. How does that work? Okay. Boy. That's a whole other thing. All right, I'm going to be honest, because I've been lying to you the whole time. To be honest, when I'm playing on a blues, I don't think about mixing major and minor pentatonic scales anymore. I used to, and I kind of figured out that's not really the greatest way to think about it. The better way to think about it is to think about what notes are in each chord, much like this, and what are the surrounding notes. But that is a really long. That's another Brooklyn Lockdown. So I appreciate that question. I don't want to get into. I want to keep to an hour today. So I will get to that question. It's really, really good. So let me take a little drink. True Fire, friends of True Fire. If you want to help out any of my musician friends, a bunch of guys are going to be on here with me, and True Fire courses are great. Great way to help out the musicians who have lost a lot of their income. So let me talk about a little interview thing that's going to happen. Got it lined up. I think first up is going to be Jason Laughlin on Saturday. We're going to talk about some guitar stuff and a little interview. I do this pretty regularly. I have Angus Clark lined up. I have Robin Ford, Sonny Landreth, David Grissom, Matt Schofield, Josh Smith, Shane Theriot, James Hogan, emails out to a bunch of other people too. So there's other guys who I know who would probably do it, because I think we're all hanging out, and this is a great way to talk about it. So everyone's going to do this. Those guys are going to give a little lesson, and then we're just going to hang out and answer questions and tell some stories and things like that. So that's going to be kind of alternating back and forth between some of these, and we'll see what happens. Okay. Yes, wash your hands. Yes. All right. Great lineup of people. Yeah, it's been fun. The guys are into it. I'm psyched that everybody's into it. I think everybody's kind of pulling together on this. Okay. So Some of the faster stuff you guys will probably I'm sorry, I'm answering these questions. Okay, so yeah, okay, back to questions. What's the name of that, Jeff? You mean the call-in? It's just going to be this Brooklyn Lockdown. I'm going to have people, we're going to do it. I'll announce it on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else. So that's why if you subscribe to this, you'll get the notice of who's coming up or when it gets launched, right? Thank you, David Truxell. I appreciate you in joining this. Okay, so Sean Varley, I was playing C Lydian over the C chord. That's the same notes as D mixed Lydian. Absolutely correct. I don't think of it as C Lydian because that's just too much to think about because the chord goes by on 2 beats. You know, it's just way too much to think about. I just think about the overall parent thing I'm going to do. I really think of this as just taking a minor pentatonic scale and messing around with it, right? So just really thinking about how I can dig into this. Questions that a lot of people okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes, the notification bell. Thank you, McErlain. I love that. I love that movie. Yeah, hit the notification bell so you'll get the notification when I go on live. I'll let everybody know Saturday coming up, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. That's when I'm going to start do my next one. And I really appreciate everyone who's just chiming in with the tip jar. Thank you so much. Really great. It's really been, I really enjoyed doing this, and thank you for the appreciation. I'm really humbled by it. And hopefully it'll make everybody's life a little more fun at the moment, because not a lot of great stuff going on right now, but we're not going to talk about that. All right. So some of the faster stuff, I used a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs. And we could talk about this in the upcoming one, but think about that. Just take a lick, like, the Jimmy Page lick. Right, diddly diddly diddly, that pattern. Right, that kind of old Jimmy Page lick from Good Times, Bad Times, and just work it out. With the metronome, and just kind of sit on it for a while and work in hammer-ons and pull-offs, because I'm picking some of this, a lot of these notes, but I'm not picking all the notes. That's one sort of weird fallacy that I think guitar players have, like, Yngwie's picking all the notes, and you watch Yngwie and you go, Yngwie is not picking all the notes. Yngwie is doing lots of hammer-ons and pull-offs. So I'm going to do a whole other thing on picking as best as I can do it, Hermano, I'll pick Jimmy Page or Legato. Practice both. So if I pick it, right, or the Love Gun lick, right? For all the Kiss fans out there. All right, any more questions? Someone said another great lockdown. Thank you. Is it possible? How was the True Fire course created? That's an interesting topic. I'll think about that. All right. What am I using? I'm using the UA audio. I'm not using the aux. I am using, because I'm playing a little more rocky today, I'm using the Marshall 2203 plugin. So I love two rocks. I play two rocks all the time. And I love Marshalls. I have an old Marshall, and this is kind of the sound I'm using. Les Paul onto a Marshall. Can't beat it. And you may ask, well, yes, at some points I was stepping on a pedal. Oh, yeah. Really great pedal from my friend Holger over at Comet Amps. I am using a Comet Marisol. And it's sort of like a bit of like a top boost. You have just a clean boost here, and then I can dial in some high end, like a treble booster. Most excellent pedal. I really dig it. So I'll just on and off. So. Oop. Hard to sit here with my legs crossed. On. So it keeps the high end together like on a neck pickup, so I'm dialing in. He's got two knobs, boost and heat. I think it's a great pedal. Um, it's like any boost pedal. I like a boost pedal that's got a tone knob on it. So especially if I'm pushing the front end of the amp hard or the virtual amp hard, I can dial about how much output I want and then how much treble I want. And the treble often helps, especially the neck, keep the neck pickup together from other than getting like flubby. So especially on a Les Paul, it's always a thing, trying to get that together where it doesn't sound like a cow. You know, you want to kind of keep it a little. Alan Haldreth a long time ago said he likes the notes to sound like E, not ooh, and I know what he means or meant. So that's a really great pedal. It's a little bit of a sleeper right now, and it came out right before all the craziness. But Holger and Comet was great enough to give me one of them, and I really love it. I think it's a really cool pedal, simple. What it's also super smart is if you turn the heat, which is like the treble boost part, off, and you just have the boost, if you put the boost on 0, it's unity gain, and when you turn it on and off, you can't even tell that it's on. So I really love that because then you don't, it's like, wow, it's not even on, it's off, it just goes right between the two. It's really, really, really cool. Okay, so there is a pump for my friend Holger and Comet amps for the Marisol pedal. Super cool. What picks am I using again? The D'Addario Black Ice 1.5 millimeter. I like them quite a bit. They're a little dark sounding, which I really like. And they're a little bit larger than a Jazz 3. So I got a red Jazz 3 right here. So, but it's large enough that I feel like it's better for me. I mean, like we're talking, slightly larger, but I can feel it, because you can feel those. Here we go. You can feel the differences when you're playing, right? And I just find I can hold on to this pick better than a Jazz 3 that I've been using forever, and I think it sounds really good. The endless pick thing. I was using the flow picks. I was trying those. Those are great, but they were just a little bit too big. So if we look at this between, this is such nerd stuff. I love this stuff. When you look at the difference between the flow and the D'Addario, it's just enough bigger that it feels bizarro. I just can't hang on to it as much. All right. So, hey, everyone, I really appreciate you chiming in, and everyone who hit the tip jar, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We'll see you on Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. My friend Jason Lachlan, we're going to do some guitar playing and talking about some stuff. Right now, stay online. Go over to see my friend Robin Ford, who is doing a live stream question and answer on YouTube at Robin Ford's channel, which he just kind of started. And let me get you the address for that. It's Robin Ford Official. That's what it is. So check him out on there. He's doing a live stream starting in 2 minutes. And until next time, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for checking in with me and hanging out. And I look forward to our next one, Saturday, with Jason Lachlan. Okay. Goodbye.